Okay, let's have a look at Illustrator and getting started with that. So, don't want to see that. Do try and remember to treat the Adobe software family as if they're all kind of the same. So you can see here, just as we've opened this, you've got your tools over on the left-hand side, you've got some of the palette things over on the right-hand side. I think that I didn't show you in Photoshop, but we do have here in Illustrator as well, is this Essentials tab up here. So if we've popped out some of these, doesn't matter what I'm doing, I just wanted to show you that you can change stuff. So we've got some palettes out. If we've closed them with the little X's here, and we need them again, you can see that those have now disappeared from over here. We can go back up to where it says Essentials, we can choose some of these other layouts, or we can just go to Reset Essentials. And this works in all the pieces of Adobe software. You can just reset the palettes and toolbars and get everything back to where they were originally by default. So let's have a look at making a new document. So File and New. Same sort of thing again as we had in Photoshop. Give it a name, Test Illustrator 01, and then here we've got some profiles. So like we had presets in Photoshop, here we can choose what we're going to be making this for. So we're going to use a print profile here. So I've got print selected. We only want one artboard, so that's like one piece of paper. We want this to be A3 for the sake of things. We've got millimeter display, or we can change that to inches or centimeters. Here you can see you've got the orientation of the page, whether it's landscape or portrait. So let's flip that round to landscape. You can add some printer marks on there. This is bleed, so you can overprint a document and then cut it down, but we'll leave that for now. Underneath here we've got the advanced settings. So because this is for print, even though I've just changed that, let's change the profile here. Print is CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow and black. This is what it's going to be rasterizing the effects at, high resolution, 300 pixels per inch. And then we've just got this default preview mode, which we will leave as it is. And there's a pixel grid. If we've got that switched on, we can align things to that, but I'll leave that as it is. There's a button here to load up some templates, but I will let you explore those yourselves. So we'll just press OK, and that's going to open our documents here. And you can see down at the bottom left, again, you've got your view size, and this is ready for us to start doing some stuff with. So let's just have a quick look at making a big shape and how that works, and then we'll save this document. So over here in the toolbar, again, there's lots more tools in Illustrator that have the little pop-out option, and you can see here as well, if I hold my mouse over things, you get a keyboard shortcut. So I'll press down on the shape tool, and we've got a few options here for different sorts of shapes. If we hold your mouse over, I'm still pressing my mouse down by the way, if you hold your mouse over this little tab on the right hand side of this pop-out, then it means that you can take this away and put it wherever you want. So you can drag it around and put it somewhere useful rather than having to keep going all the way over to the left hand side all the time. So I'm going to select this rounded rectangle tool. I'm going to go over here and have a look at my fill and stroke colours, and you have those up here as well. So if we create a red fill, and let's have a blue stroke like that, and now we will just make a box. And so you can see we've got handles around this so that we can move stuff about. And you can play with shifting it around, holding on to these different points, and if we get hold of that little circle point, then we can play with how much corner curve there is as well. So it's a little bit fiddly, takes a little bit of getting used to. There we go. Let's just zoom back out here. So up at the top we've got the stroke size. Okay, so here if we just click on that, then, which is the same as clicking on the weight here, so we can fatten it up, clicking on there. Depending on what sort of corners you have, what sort of shape you've made, then you can apply different sorts of caps and corners to the shape. So if we just go and make a square box like that, let me just put that here, we'll go back onto there, so you can see the corners are set for this mitre join, which is squared off. We can round them off, okay, like that, or we can snip them off, bevel like that. If you're making straight, well, any sorts of lines, then you can also play around with the sort of cap that the lines have as well. This aligned stroke allows you to put the stroke at different positions on the actual path. So the blue line that you can see in here is the path. So if we press that, then you can see how it's moving the stroke around. If you press on this little checkbox over here for a dashed line, then you can see how you can create different sorts of lines. That's going to make a mess of it, like that. Yeah, so you can kind of make patterns with it. I can switch it off. I'll leave that for now. There you go. Some of the tools here allow you. I'm just going to use this is the selection tool here. So I can pick up everything, click and drag over it, and I can just move stuff around. And then we have the direct selection tool, which allows us to pick up things a bit more individually, and we can pick up points, which I'll show you in a second. So let's just shift those over again. Some of these other tools, let me just show you how they work. And this is stuff that counts in more than one piece of Adobe software. So if we go back to the shape tool, rectangle tool, so I'm just clicking and I'm dragging, and it's making some kind of rectangle starting from that point where I just clicked and dragged from. If I hold down Shift, then it's constraining it to its proportions to a square, and it's pulling it out from that corner point. Okay, like that. If I do the same thing with the circle, you get ovals until you press down Shift. If you hold down the Alt key, you can see how the cursor changes into something that's a little bit like a target. And now if I hold down, if I click and drag, then it's going to pull this out from the center point where I clicked initially to make a shape. And so of course if you hold down Shift, let's do it with a square, you hold down Shift and Alt, then it's going to pull out a shape from the center like that. And it's going to be constrained to whatever, a square or a circle. You've got a couple of other shape tools here. We're not going to use this flare tool, but we can make triangles with the Polygon Tool and the Star Tool. You can change the number of sides that these things have. So if I click and drag, you can see this has many sides as it has, and if I start pressing the cursor keys up and down, then you can reduce it or turn them up. So let's make a triangle like that. Same kind of situation with the Star Tool, bit of a bog standard one. Press up a few times, you get more points. Press down, you get less points, all the way down to a triangle again. Okay. We can change the colours of these things just by making sure that they're selected. Go into the fill picking a different colour. We'll go into the stroke, do that up there, change that like that, and we can go back and we can change the size of the stroke if we want to, and move stuff around. So let's just get that one a bit more contrast. There we go. That one like that. So that's just using this main selection tool. If we use the direct selection tool, you can see things change a little bit, and you've got these other little points available to us, like I just showed you with rounding off that box. So you can see if I click and drag on these, then I'm changing the shape that this is. What I can also do is I can select just a point on the path, and I can pull that out and change how this shape actually works. And you can click and drag over more than one point as well to really start to change it around like that. And you can see when I click on them that there are these funny little handles, so you can pull these around as well to really start to change how the shape actually looks. And these are called Bezier handles. So you can make quite a mess of it. You don't have a history in Illustrator, but you do have lots of undo. So Command and Z, and there we go. We have Pen Tool, which sort of allows you to do the same sort of thing. If you click and pull, then you'll get these handles, and keep clicking and pulling, and you can make sort of blob shapes like that. It's quite a difficult tool to master, but a thing that has helped in the past to learn how it works is to click and pull your cursor and then let go, and then move your cursor up, click and pull again, and then let go, and then move and click and pull and let go, and then move, click, pull and let go, and then you'll start to get a wavy line like that. And if you just press return, then it will get rid of the rest of the snaky thing that's going on there. So here we've got a strange wiggly line with a fill that we don't really want, and it's trying to fill it between the two end points. So if we use the selection tool and click on it, and you can see over here we've got a fill and stroke. So let's just move that up there. I don't want that at the moment. So we don't want to have it having a fill because it didn't really make sense. So you can see once I've clicked on that, you can select no fill, which is that. Okay, so now that has no fill. And what we want to also do is play with the stroke. It's going on here because it's got squared off ends. So we press the little stroke panel button again. We can go back to cap, and you can round off the caps so you can make it look a bit more like a snake. Again, using the direct selection tool, you can go and pick points, and you can move them around if you want to. And you've got big versions of the handles here, so you can really pull stuff around so you can see what's going on. Pencil tool sort of works in the same kind of way. Puts in a load of points as you draw around, and there's ways of going and smoothing it out. Path in object, and you can simplify. So if we just move that over there and press preview, we can change how this is. You can see how it'll change or make worse what we've done. And you've got the line tool, you can make straight lines, and you can go and add or take away points to these shapes as well. So if you can see with the pen tool, you have another pop-out box, so we'll pop that out, and we will move that over here and have a look. If we use the, let's take away anchor points from this and make it go funny. So you can see as you've got that selected, you put it over this, it will show you where there's some anchor points to get rid of. We can delete that one, let's get rid of that. Okay, so you kind of end up with nothing. You can add anchor points to things, so I'll put that over here and you can see that, oops, I missed. I can add some anchor points to this line, so if we put a couple more in here and then I use my direct selection tool, then I can shift that over there. I could select 2 points like that, shift that over there, select these 2, push them over there. This converts anchor points, so you can turn a corner into a curve. So you've got a tight corner here. If I click and pull, then you can see how I can change what that was. Okay, I want to undo those though. So let's just select all of these because I don't want them. Press delete. Magically made some kind of jar. I'm going to show you how to save this now. So if we go to File and Save, oh, we're in that Templates folder. So I want to go to Test here, and I'm going to save that in my test folder as an Illustrator file. You can also save it as these other ones, and they're kind of editable still. Because it's Adobe, things will open from one piece of software in another, so you should be alright saving it as an Illustrator file. Okay, version, Creative Cloud, you can go backwards if you want to. I don't think you need to. And all of this other stuff here, you can just leave it as it is. Press OK. You can export for different formats as well. So you can go down here to export, and you've got more options, more of your kind of Photoshop-y save as or export options. PNG, Flash, SWF, I doubt you're going to use that, but you can have it, save it out as a JPEG or PICT or a Photoshop document or a TIFF. JPEG's useful, obviously, if you're going to put it in a blog. The Photoshop document doesn't really make that much difference. So really, you can use your JPEG as the main one. And press export, and you can see how it's changed the file name there to .jpg. And you've got the quality and the color mode, RGB if you're going to put it online, CMYK if you're going to print it out. And you can see how we can change these up on here. We've got compression, yeah, leave that at standard here, but your resolution, because you're going to put it, if you're saving it as a JPEG, RGB, you're going to put it in the browser, in a blog, so you would want this to be for screen, and the screen resolution is 72 ppi. 150 and 300 is too high and could cause you some hassle when you're trying to load it into whatever it is that you're making your blog in. So make sure that's set to 72. And let's press OK, and that's going to have saved it.